Let me turn the recording
Good morning,
on.
everybody.
And we'll move on to the next slide.
We have come together as a family. We have come here as we are. Yes. And we have come with arms wide open. We have gathered here in love. Spirit is in this place. Just sing it together. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this place. Raise a roof, a shout of praise. Spirit's in this place. We sing in celebration. We sing with words of prayer. We sing with words of prayer. We affirm our life as sacred. We declare that peace is here. Yeah, Spirit is in this place. Ooh, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this place. Raise a roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. Ooh. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh. Spirit is in this place. Let's sing it. The Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this place. Raise a roof with shouts of praise. Raise a roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. Good morning. Bless you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Claire. Welcome. So let's just take a deep breath in and release. Release everything that went on all week. Just clear your thoughts, clear your hearts, and take a breath in. And this is what I know. There's something magical going on around us. It is the power and the presence of spirit. It is in the air we breathe, the ground we walk on. It is everything we see, from the vastness of the universe to the depths of the sea and the earth. This power that is God breathed us. It is in us, around us, through us, out from us, back out to us. We and everything else contains all of God. We are all there. We are all there right now at this time, in this place, on purpose. We are full of God's stuff. Spirit, God is all love. We come from this love, and all our relationships are loving and supportive, from people we see all around us to politicians, to people we don't agree with, to friends, to family, and intimate relationships. Love is who each one is, God in form. Spirit God is all health. We are this health and this wholeness because God is who we are. Everything in our body working together in perfect harmony. God is also in the doctors, in the medicine, and even in the virus. Our air is full of God. Our world is full of health. God's Spirit is enough. We always have more than enough to spare and to share. Abundance is our birthright. World economy is open and strong. Spirit, God created everything there is. We are full of creativity. Our gifts are already within us, just waiting to be brought to life and shared. Spirit, God is clarity. We always know what to do in every circumstance. We tap into the God within and we let go and know our good is right here. Spirit, God is peace. Peace is everywhere because God is everywhere. Our country unites and moves forward. Global peace is here now. The earth heals and thrives, and people heal and thrive together. Gratitude fills my soul and my heart. Grateful for being surrounded in this power and this presence. Excited to live this new year at this time of change and expansion in all areas. Grateful to live in a world of health, peace, and equality. Grateful to be the change we want to see in our world now. Knowing with appreciation for our center growing in numbers and in consciousness with an inspirational minister. And I release and I let go of these words, flinging them back into loving lore, knowing they are already done. I claim this good and only good. And so we say together, and so it is. We have our identity prayer. You say it with me, please. I know that within myself, there is that life which is perfect, complete, and divine. It was never born and it cannot die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is wholeness, peace, poise, and the power of life. This life is health, it is abundance, and it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God. And this is my life now, and so it is. So we have a meditation that's a little different than we usually do. It's more about energy and moving your energy around. So I hope you enjoy it, and it kind of leads into the message. And I don't think that's
Turning
it.
my awareness to the one. I recognize that one presence, that one source, that one life.
That's
This that we call God.
43. Starts at 43. Are you on the mile high one? The meditation was separate. Can't hear you.
I didn't have a link to that. I only had the one link that's a Vimeo link. You sent a different link that was a YouTube link, but then you said that was not what you wanted.
Yes, it was. I said it was a healing. It was an energy meditation. That's all right.
Okay.
I'll get it in a minute. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, Okay, when you get it, you started at 43. All right, let's see. Hold on. My phone is slow to reverse today.
Our
43.
Okay, and unfortunately, when it's not embedded, it still does ads.
I'm so happy that you're watching this video.
That's it. That's it.
Let's see, 43. There may be ads in it. I'll click through them as quickly as I can. When I do it in the slideshow, it cuts out the ads.
Settle your body comfortably and gently close your eyes. Breathe all your air out. Then inhale deeply and fully into the abdomen, ribs, and chest. Open the mouth and exhale from the back of your throat with a sighing sound. Repeat 2 more times. As you inhale, fill up with calmness and peace. As you exhale, release tension and worries. Now soften the lips, tongue, and jaw. And breathe quietly and naturally through the nostrils. As each part of the body is named, imagine that place becoming vibrantly alive and filled with a sense of positive energy. It may be helpful to visualize a color or sense a subtle vibration, like a buzzing, in that part of the body. Start at the feet. Send the awareness to the feet. Without moving the feet, feel and sense the right foot, the left foot. Feel both feet at once. Sense the soles of the feet, the tops of the feet, the tips of the toes. Imagine energy flowing into the feet now. Visualize the energy gently waking up the feet with a sense of being alive. Now bring the awareness to the knees. Feel the right knee, the left knee, both knees together, the kneecaps, the backs of the knees, and the sides. Sense energy flowing into both knees now. Send awareness up to the hips. Sense the front of the pelvis, back of the pelvis, and the tailbone. Right hip bone, left hip bone. Feel the whole pelvis together at once. Imagine energy flowing into the whole pelvis. Bring awareness to the hands. Right hand, left hand, palms of both hands, backs of both hands. Sense all the fingertips. Imagine energy flowing into the hands now. Become aware of the elbows. Right elbow, left elbow, sense energy at both elbow joints together. Travel attention to the shoulders. Feel the right shoulder and shoulder blade, left shoulder and shoulder blade. Feel the entirety of both shoulders together. Imagine energy flowing into the shoulders now. Sense the whole front of the torso, beginning with the collarbones, ribs, navel, lower abdomen. Bring the awareness up the back of the torso, feeling the lower back, middle back, and upper back. Fill up the torso completely, front, back, and sides, with energy. Bring awareness to the center of the torso, the whole spine. Feel positive energy flowing through the whole spine. And along the spine, notice the movement of breath in the body. Finally, bring awareness up the neck to the head. Sense the face, back of the head, top of the head, whole scalp. Imagine energy flowing into the mind now, awakening calm alertness and motivation. Bring awareness to the breath in the throat. On the next inhale, breathe in strongly through the nose and feel the breath move from the throat to the navel. And on the exhale, empty the air out from the navel back to the throat. Inhaling from throat to navel. Exhaling from navel to throat. Continue. Feeling the whole body energized through the movement of breath. Encourage deep breath to fill yourself up with lightness, ease, and enthusiasm. Feel the prana flowing freely through your whole body, from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head. Life force awakening to carry you through this day of limitless possibilities. Now release the visual, and as you relax the breath, sense a kind, loving, and positive energy flowing now into your heart. Receive these words spontaneously as your own. Today is a new day. I am open and available to receive new possibilities. I welcome this day as an opportunity to live fully and joyfully. Everything is happening for me. Where I am right now is exactly where I need to be. Sense the whole body and mind free to flow with positive energy and motivation to live this day fully. Notice the impulse to move toes or ankles, fingers or wrists. Encourage any movement that feels good, moving the body now as you sense the free flow of positive energy within you. With the support of the universe within and around you, slowly open your eyes to complete the practice.
So let us continue to center and deepen this life force flowing through us by chanting Om a few times. If you'll do that with me. Om.
Thank you. That's a great one to do in the morning when you're getting up. I've been doing that all week and it really gives you lots of energy. So our message today is full of energy, and it's from Raymont Anderson, who is the minister of CSL Greater Baltimore. But he is talking at CSL Santa Rosa. He's the guest speaker, and he's pretty powerful. So I hope you enjoy it.
Namaste and greetings, CSL Santa Rosa. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with you celebrating and recognizing this brand new year with all of you. It is an amazing opportunity, but first I must give a special shout out to my role model, my mentor, my superhero, Reverend Dr. Edward Fullion. Hola, mi hermano. So we got to start there. Got to jump in with the gratitude, folks. Okay, so let's breathe. Let's breathe because it's 2021. We had an amazing, interesting 2020. Talk about 2020 vision. Ooh, what do we see clearly now? I mean, I can see clearly now the year has gone. I remember all the obstacles that were in our way. Gonna move forward now because we're in 2021 and we're starting off with timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision. Ooh. So let's jump in. Let's jump right in. But I have to start off with this idea first because what does it matter if we have timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision if we're not really paying attention to what it means to receive the torch and then pass the torch? What does it matter if Ernest Holmes had this amazing teaching, or Emma Curtis Hopkins, or 27 years ago? What difference does it matter if anybody in the past had this amazing teaching and philosophy to transform and change lives and live their authentic, most divine, spiritually magnificent selves if we're not doing it. Like if we're just going to say, well, Ernest Holmes was a great guy and he was really powerful. And so was Emma Curtis Hopkins. And so was Phineas Parkhurst Quimby. And so were, and so were, and so were, and so on and so on. Well, okay. Yeah, they did it. But if we're not walking the walk and we're not walking the talk and we're not taking on the torch of this evolutionary vision and timeless wisdom so that future generations in this world that works for all, so that future generations are benefiting from this teaching, then what are we doing? We're keeping all of our power, our light under a bushel. We are keeping our teaching and philosophy as the best kept secret. Shh, don't tell anybody. We don't want anybody to know we're here. Shh. Like for real, if we're not receiving the torch and then passing the torch, then what are we doing? So it really doesn't matter what the fundamentals, the principles and teachings are if we are not applying them and moving forward with them. What difference does it matter if it's crossing cultural and spiritual traditions and paths if we're not applying it and benefiting from it and then passing the torch on to others? If we're not actively engaged on a daily basis with taking that which is timeless and bringing it into the time of when we wake up to when we go to sleep. If we are not bringing the evolutionary vision into our regularly planned and regularly scheduled day, then what point is the teaching? Right? And we all know you wouldn't be in CSL Santa Rosa because I know what y'all do. I met some of y'all in Chapala, so I know how powerful y'all are. And I know Reverend Dr. Edward. So come on, folks. I know. So 2021, we are all being called into a new level of knowing, a new level of practicing, a new level of engaging and staying open, remaining open, engaging the open at the top concept. Because if it's going to be a world that works for all, then the time is now, and we are those who are called. The clarion call and the quickening of this movement, the quickening of this teaching, the quickening of is right here, right now, and we are it. So before we jump into more deeply what timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision is, I want to start off with an analogy. This idea of think of a skyscraper, like bring to mind whatever huge skyscraper comes to mind. I mean, it could be New York City in the Empire State Building. It could be Freedom Tower. It could be one of those huge skyscrapers in Saudi Arabia, or, you know, one of the skyscrapers in Chicago. Just whatever, bring the structure to mind. And recognize that as tall as you can see from the ground up, recognize that in order for that to go taller and higher, it must be grounded deeper and more powerfully underground. So here we are, our timeless wisdom for whatever it is that we are building up, for whatever we are creating that is visible to the eye above ground. We must be grounded in beneath the surface. So what we are creating in form must be grounded and anchored deeply and powerfully in the formless. We must anchor in truth and know and practice it in a far deeper way than we may be accustomed to or have done in the past. You know, a lot of people do the whole manifesting parking spaces and princes and princesses and whatever it is, that stuff, right? Which is all great, green lights and great. But in order for us to manifest a world that works for all, it takes a lot more than just that elementary level of, we are now being invited to a level of calculus, metaphysical calculus, where we are bringing the timeless wisdom that is deep and solid in our grounding, because it wouldn't still be here if not. We wouldn't know that it works. We wouldn't be in CSL. We wouldn't do what we do if we didn't know. So now we are being invited to synthesize it into every aspect of our lives. There's a passage in the Bible that says, When the people have no vision, they perish. So what is our vision? Our vision is a world that works for all. Our vision is recognizing and bringing humanity to its spiritual magnificence. If that is our vision, and we have it, then it is time for us to not only live, but to thrive based upon that vision in how we manifest it and bring it into being. What does it mean to be open at the top? Are we engaged in the evolutionary process, the evolutionary vision? You know, our global vision for the movement has a variety of statements. One of them is, we see a world in which every person lives in alignment with his or her or their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. That's a lot. But are we day by day, breath by breath, thought by thought, feeling by feeling, action by action, walking the walk, treating and moving our feet to bring that vision into concretized, individualized, incarnated experience? We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family. A global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. Well, if that's what we envision, then this idea of racism, sexism, homophobia, othering, xenophobia, etc., must become a thing of the past, which means our daily thinking, speaking, feeling, moving, and being in the world must do so in a way where we recognize that that has outlived its purpose. Ernest Holmes says, I believe that these things, these conditions, etc., are as real as they need to be. If the person is sad, they cry. If this person is in pain, then they grieve and they're in pain and they are to be treated accordingly. We do not bypass and we do not see it as an illusion. It is as real as it needs to be. But the question is, does that reality need to stay a reality? Are we ready to evolve, shift, and grow beyond that idea that we once held as the norm? Are we ready to move past that? What does it mean for us to live out loud, to live unapologetically, to allow the full expression of spirit that is breathing this breath? We believe in God, the living spirit almighty, one, indestructible, absolute, self-existent. It is all there is, and it is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It's all there is. There is only one mind, and that mind is God. So God's mind, my mind, is thinking these thoughts. There is no external God's will that I am trying to live in alignment with. The will that I live by is God's will. Because law is always saying, yes, there is only one life, and that life is God. So that life is breathing this breath in, through, and as me. That life, the one life, is living, moving, and having its beingness in your thoughts, in your words, in your breath, in your heartbeat, in all that you are. It is divine and sacred. Are we tapping into the timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision that recognizes this moment by moment, day by day? Because if we're not, then we are doing ourselves a huge disservice. Paramahansa Yogananda said, most energy moves through space in a spiral form, a ubiquitous motif in the microcosmic and microscopic architecture of the universe. We believe that that which God is ever evolving and ever expanding consciousness. A spiral. Where on that spiral are we? And are we trying to move up the spiral and jump back down? Because that was comfortable. How I lived yesterday was comfortable. How the good old days of 1973. I remember when, because it's comfortable. And in order to step into what it means to apply and live timeless evolutionary vision, then it means we must become new. We must be different people with different thoughts. We must shift, die to the old and move into the new. In Ephesians, in the Bible, 3:20, verse 3:20 says, there is a power at work within us that is able to accomplish abundantly far more than all we can ask or imagine. Doesn't that sound very familiar to what Ernest Holmes says when he says there is a power for good in the world and you can use it? Are we allowing that power to be what it is as us? Are we allowing that power to have its way with us? Or are we so accustomed to the wisdom or lack thereof, I put the wisdom in quotes, the wisdom of precedent rather than the wisdom of principle? Because we say we are not bound by precedent, so we know that what was doesn't have to be what we are bound by today. Just because I was raped or molested as a child doesn't mean I have to still live by that today. Because if I still live by the confines of the trauma of that today, then I'm stuck in whatever age that was. 5 years old, 8 years old, 12, 13, 15, like I'm stuck in each of those time periods, forever reliving them. But timeless wisdom says, no, you are not bound by principle. You are not bound by precedent. Sorry, you're not bound by precedent. Just because that is what happened doesn't mean you have to continue to play the record. Continue to play the record, continue to play the record, continue to play the record. You don't have to continue. You can take it off so it doesn't continue to skip, and you can change the record. For those who know what records are, there may be some people there who are young enough to not know what a record is. To change the record and put an entirely different symphony on and be the soundtrack of our lives. We get to choose how we are going to live, move, and have our being. That's what it means to set and design a new blueprint. I do not have to live by the blueprint of the home, of how I lived, of the thoughts I once thought. I could think a thought I never thought before, and then I'd sit and think some more. I would not be just a nothing, my head all full of stuff and my heart all full of pain, because I would know that there is spirit, and that spirit is moving in, through, and as all that I am and all that I do. And when we anchor into that, and that is the key to how we practice and how we move and live and have our beingness moment by moment. Because that's the key, moment by moment, when the trigger happens, because we're going to be triggered. Whatever the trigger is, I don't care what it is. It could be trauma from past, it could be family, like Ram Dass says. You want to know how enlightened you are? Spend a weekend with the family. Like, it could be family, it could be the news, it could be politics, it could be anything, Facebook, Instagram, doesn't matter what the trigger is. When the trigger happens, recognize it for what it is, an opportunity to evolve, an opportunity to anchor, an opportunity to settle, an opportunity to tap into the timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision that has been established and grounded through the predecessors and the legacy that we have been given forever and ever and ever into this moment right now. Because I say forever and ever, because that which Ernest Holmes learned, knew, meditated on, and developed existed beyond time. There is only that which God is. We recognize, we say in our declaration of principles, our declaration of what we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with this indwelling, all-dwelling God. So Ernest Holmes was living in that way, in close contact with the truth that is beyond time, is not bound by time. It is timeless wisdom itself. And so how do we bring that wisdom into this moment when the trigger happens? How do we embody it? How do we share it? How do we bring it to family, friends, and community? How do we live in such a way that we understand what it means, that we believe that heaven is within us, and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it, and that we will not only experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it, that we will experience and express it, manifest it, and demonstrate it as an external thing. We will bring heaven into the concretized, incarnate experience here on earth, so that our children's children will read about war in history books as a thing of the past, because it is a world that works for all. They will read about, did you know that in the early 2020s, there was a thing called racism, sexism, and homophobia? And they will say, wow, granddad, grandma, how did you ever? Well, what we did was we anchored in spiritual practice. We walked the walk. We chose to get into good trouble and necessary trouble because we wade in the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the waters. Those waters that are troubled are the waters where healing exists. Are we willing to step into the healing waters of good trouble, bringing timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision into each of the moments, in each interaction, each conversation, each email, each phone call, each bill that we bless and send, in everything that we, each breath, each prayer, each hug and each handshake, each mask that we wear, until such time as that is not necessary. When we bring timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision into each of these moments, then we will know, we will recognize, and we will live in accordance to a world that works for all. The vision will need to be recast, because that vision will be what we are living. That vision will be what we are being. That vision will be an incarnated experience for all. And then we'll need to recast the new vision, because we understand and we recognize that we believe that all of these things, conditions, that we believe we will be emancipated from every discord of every nature, and that this is sure to be attained by all. And so let us anchor in prayer, recognizing and knowing that all forms of discord, all forms of dis-ease, disharmony, disillusionment, we release them and let them go and anchor into this breath. This breath, recognizing that we are not breathing ourselves. We are not saving this breath for a rainy day. We are not breathing for tomorrow or rebreathing yesterday, but only breathing this moment right here and right now. This present breath anchors us into this present moment where we surrender and let God breathe itself as each one of us. And it is from this place of surrender and this place of presence in the present that I speak what I know. God in me, as me, is me. And what is true for me is true for everyone hearing these words, either live now on Sunday or the recording later. God in me, as me, is me. There is only that which God is, an infinite circle whose circumference is nowhere, whose center is everywhere. Therefore, precisely where I am, the center of God is. Precisely where each person is, the center of God is. Life itself, love itself, centered, grounded, living, moving, and being, each individualized expression. And knowing this, then I know that the timeless wisdom of spirit must be right where each center of God is as well. Because there cannot be a place where there is timeless wisdom as God and another place where it's timed, not wisdom, but timed intelligence. Like that doesn't exist. It can't exist. There can only be the infinite powerful presence of the all that is in, through, and as each being each person, each tree, each dog, each cat, each blade of grass, each apple, each lemon, each house, each everything to such a degree that when I see a bird fly, I know that this is God seeing itself taking flight. That when I feel the breeze, I know that this is God feeling the brush of the embrace of spirit, reminding this incarnation, be cool, be refreshed, be relaxed. I anchor and celebrate this knowing, this awareness, because I know that that which God is, I am. I am that which God is in this ever evolving, ever expanding consciousness. And it is the gratitude that I feel, the power and the presence, the emotion that I bring to this, because I know that my tongue, my expression has the power of life and death in it. So I speak life and life affirmingness, not simply for myself, but for every incarnation of God. I speak the abundance and the power and the health and the well-being that I know that 2021 right here, right now is being and bringing more and more of itself to, through, and as each person, each presence of God, each individualized incarnation. And I celebrate in gratitude knowing this power, this presence, this love, this joy, this divine spiritual magnificence, this evolutionary vision showing itself in, through, and as each body, each thought, each word, each feeling, each way the hands serve and each way the body walks the walk. So in this moment of groundedness, I surrender this treatment because I know that these words are not simply the words of Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, but that they are words of spirit speaking about itself, through itself, and now into the law of itself. That means this prayer is already fully formed and fully functioning in the mind of God. That means this prayer is already done. And knowing it is done, I surrender it and allow it to be. I step back and marvel at the magnificent way that God shows up in, through, and as a world that works for all. And so it is. Namaste and blessings, my beloved family. Take care. Happy New Year. See you soon in person. Love you. Take care.
Okay. We have a new song.
We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Yeah. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the mothers who breathe with the Mother Earth. We are the fathers, blessed with a gentle strength. The sisters and brothers, respected hand in hand. The sons and the daughters, who walk upon this sacred land. And we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for, yeah. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Oh, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the healers who hear the voice of truth. We are the elders whose wisdom guides our youth. The searchers and seekers with wings spread into the sun. The shapers and builders whose work for peace is never done. And we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for, yeah. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Oh, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We're givers of mercy, believers in grace, singers of great beauty,
keepers of the faith.
We are the sailors who come back through the storm.
We are the dreamers resting in God's arms.
The dancers and lovers who move beneath the stars.
The masters and teachers whose visions remind us who we are. And
we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for, yeah. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Oh, we are the ones that we've been waiting for.
Awesome, Jane. Very good. Perfect. Nita, we should have asked you to bring your drums to that one. Maybe we will the next time. So I really enjoyed him. I thought he was a great speaker. And now that we reviewed all our principles last week, now we can put them, not that we haven't been, but now we can better put them to use.
Everyone be sure to unmute yourself before you speak.
Okay. I especially liked, he said, receive, live, apply, move forward, and pass it along. Receive, live, apply, move forward, and pass it along. I thought that was cool.
We are challenged to live what we say we believe.
That's right. Especially now. Especially now. We have to see the God in everyone, even if we don't agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what was the guy that we heard to speak from the Google talk? And he said that you don't, staying apart doesn't help. You have to get closer. You have to immerse yourself in that which you don't understand or don't agree with or don't like,
Yeah.
before you can really come to understand it.
Yeah. And I think it's important that we, especially now, don't add to the unrest.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, that
Yeah.
we have to be the peace. We have to see through this.
Well, I was saying before we got started today that, imagine two kids on a seesaw and they start off hugging each other in the middle, but then one of them moves a little bit out and the seesaw tips. So then the other one has to move out to balance it. And as long as one of them is moving farther out, then the other one's going to move out the other way to compensate. And what happens in that kind of a system is you snap to the extremes.
Yeah.
And, you see that in marital conflict.
Yeah.
You see that, it's like one parent believes in being more strict and the other parent believes in being more
Permissive and
permissive.
loving.
And so when the one parent is more permissive, then the other one becomes more strict to compensate for it. And when the other one becomes more strict, then the other one becomes more permissive to compensate for it. So they're compensating, they're essentially reacting to each other and they're compensating for each other, but they're compensating in a way that drives them apart. And that's what we have to be careful that we are not doing. We have to embrace our differences. We have to embrace our diversity. We have to see ourselves as being one, despite the fact that we have different ways of thinking about things and different opinions. and so forth. Only through seeing ourselves as one can we then overcome that tendency to snap to the extremes.
Yeah.
I think though those extremes sometimes are learning.
Oh yeah,
You're learning something.
yeah,
And that's what's this whole world is doing right now, is learning something. And that's why there is so much difference, because you learn at different what do I want to say, times. Not everybody's going to learn this from, you got to learn at your own pace, I guess.
yeah.
And it's not going to please a whole lot of people.
You are going to learn at your own pace.
That's a given. Right, you are. And I think that's what's so important, to have patience, to have that patience with people and yourself too, to realize there's a whole lot of different ways of looking at things.
Well, another dynamic that I see going on nowadays is that there's a dynamic of, I'm in power, so I'm going to cram what I want down your throat.
Well, we've seen that, yes.
There's a dynamic of, so it's not a question of, while the populace has given their opinion through electing certain officials, and so that kind of should guide things that direction. It's we've got the majority now, so we're going to do what we want. And
I think it's when you can look at things, what is the best for everyone? Like exactly. A world that works for everyone. And that is what I think is coming about, but it's slow and it's going to be painful for a while, I think.
Yeah.
But it's what works for everybody, not what works for the 1%ers or anybody like that. It's what can help the whole world.
You got to keep that vision that's what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Create that.
Well, and it means listening to each other. It means, I think a big part of the radicalization is when people feel like they're not being listened to.
Oh, yeah.
When their voice is not being heard.
That's when little kids have temper tantrums.
Yeah.
Is when they feel like they're not being heard, they're not being understood.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Claire, what do you think?
I think you had a lot of really good points.
I agree with that.
Hey, I've got a problem.
Okay.
This is Lynn. My brother is a Trumper. And after the episode the other day, I was so angry and I decided I couldn't call him because I was too angry. So I waited till the next day. And he answered the phone instead of his... Yeah. So I said, hey, what do you think of your Trump now? And he said, this is 30-year Army colonel retired. He said, no comment. And I said, why no comment? I mean, this isn't Democrat or Republican. This is the United States of America, and we are being attacked. I called him the night of 9/11 to see what was going on because he knew most of those people. And he said, well, just wait till tomorrow morning and see what pilot doesn't show up for his flight from Saudi Arabia. So, and we were great. We had a good conversation. So the other night I just said what I believed in. I said, this is wrong. This has got to stop. And when I finished, and I didn't rail, I didn't swear, I didn't do any of the things I usually do. And he said, are you done? I said, yes. And he hung up on me.
Oh my God.
Well,
Really aggravated the hell out of me that he didn't have the courtesy to at least say, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't have done this, whatever. So since then, I've been debating about writing him a letter because I really feel badly about the whole situation. And I don't want to acknowledge, I don't know what I want to acknowledge, but I just want to get this smoothed out. We're not friends. We've never been friends. We're brothers from the same mother, but that's about the far extent of it. And I'm not feeling good about not that I shouldn't have called him. I don't mean that. I'm glad that I did. But his reaction just blew me away.
Well, at least he didn't hang up on you in the middle of it.
Yeah. He
That's accomplishment.
No, but I mean, he had his finger on the button because when he said he had done, it was instantaneous.
Yeah.
Well, you knew that was what was going to hit.
Well,
No, he's never hung up on, I don't know.
He said you were through, so you hung up. He didn't have anything to say.
He did hear you out.
Said that you're right. That's what you wanted. You wanted to say yes.
Oh,
yes,
no, I knew he
Lynn,
wasn't going
you
to say
were
that,
right.
but I thought he would at least discuss it.
Nah,
Because he's a
too
big,
raw. It's too raw, Lynn. It's too raw.
Yeah, it's too soon, too
yeah,
raw.
apparently.
But this is not Democratic or Republican. This is different.
Yeah, this is different.
This is very different.
That's why I said it that way.
Yeah.
I said, you've worked in that building. You know what that building is. This is not right. They're desecrating our United States. He worked at the Pentagon.
Well, you see, what happened? They were told a bunch of lies.
Yeah.
They said they thought Congress could overturn this election. And that's what they have heard for almost what?
I don't think he believes that. This man has a master's degree in Russian history, a master's degree in American history.
The people that were in there.
Yeah, but
change his opinion. Do you really think you're going to change his opinion? Like,
yeah.
You know, like,
no, but he could have said, they shouldn't have done that or something to that effect. But because I know he doesn't believe that Trump won the election.
You were trying,
but he will never admit that, just like Trump will never admit that he did anything wrong. I understand that. I took all that into consideration.
You're trying to.
But when he hung that phone up, I just was really irritated.
Tom has something.
In your call, saying this shouldn't. You're saying that he's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the impression he was getting.
What would happen if you just called him up and said, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
And then hang up.
No, I can't. He won't even answer the phone if I call him. So I know that.
No, I meant if you had done that instead of saying.
I couldn't possibly have done that, for God's sakes.
Now, Lynn.
Because that would have been an outright lie, just like Clive does every day.
Lynn, I will have the PowerPoint, or it's not a PowerPoint, it's a Google Slides. I'll have the Google Slides thing on the website later this afternoon. You can go back and listen to that sermon again.
Yeah, we're kind of called into raising our consciousness. And this, I know this.
Oh, I know. That's why I've been thinking about it ever since that minister said that.
Yeah. It's causing a lot of disruptions within families, within friends. It really is. But we are the light, and that's what we have to remember, our principles, and kind of shine through that and not get into raising,
evolving. That's what we need to do, is evolve a little bit above this.
But we need.
That's right. Evolve.
Got shot.
We need to evolve, but we also need to recognize that we're only responsible for our own evolution. We are not responsible for anyone else's evolution besides ourselves. It's not.
No,
really...
I wasn't trying to evolve him. That's gone. He's 80 years old. We haven't liked each other since we were 2.
That's what you need to change right there.
That's right.
I've tried over the years. It's just, I'm just nothing in his eyes, so it doesn't matter.
Jane has something to say, Jane?
The woman who got shot and killed, Ashley Babbitt, believed that Joe Biden is a pedophile. And that, she and millions of people believe that. Those people who watch and listen and read QAnon, they believe that. They believe that Democrats, drink the blood of children. She believed that Donald Trump had millions of votes stolen from him. She saw herself as a person on the barricade, on the ramparts or whatever you call that, and because she was the first one that was coming through that door when they broke the glass through. She'd been in the Air Force for 14 years.
Oh, yeah, she's working from California.
And she believed that she was doing what was right and that she was working to save her country. That's what that woman believed.
Yeah.
That's what happens when, excuse me, Jane, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what happens when we don't say that is a lie. And that's what happened when the Republicans never told Trump I've never said the election wasn't stolen. They let him go ahead and preach it and preach it and preach it. You have to tell the truth. And that's what's coming up now. You have got to tell the truth.
They're regretting it. But I would also,
some of them are.
I would also caution against, basically saying, well, that's a lie. A better way to do it, it seems to me, would be to, let people have their say, and then, let's talk about this. How is it that you feel that way? And, well, how about this? How does that fit into it? We have developed a society where we cancel people, where we shut people down, where we stop listening to them. And I see that as being a large part of the problem now, is that people start becoming radical when they're shut down, when they're not listened to, when they feel like their voice is not being heard. And that's the problem with, just saying, oh, well, that's a lie. Well, you're shutting them down. Let them talk about it and have the dialogue so that reasonable people are going to see what's going on. And, there's, as Jesus said, there's, the poor will always be with you. There's always going to be people who are going to kind of go off the deep end about stuff, but you're not going to help it by just shutting them down. You have to have that's why we have freedom of speech, is that's the recognition that there has to be the dialogue. Now I'm agreeing with you that the other Republicans could have responded to this in a little different way that might have calmed the waters a bit, but it's not just this is kind of the culmination, as I see it, of a long-term, both sides shutting each other down. When the Democrats are have a majority, then they push their stuff through. And I submit, when you have legislation that gets passed because one side or the other has the majority, and it's entirely passed on partisan lines, I say that's a travesty. There should never be legislation that's passed strictly on partisan lines, because that says that there has not been any statesmanship taking place.
I agree.
Well, that's been going on for 12 years.
It's been going on for
longer than that.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but the last 12 years with McConnell has really been the biggest problem.
It was that way with...
He won't let anything go through he doesn't like. That's one man holding the entire country as hostage.
It was the same in the Obama administration. That's how Obama...
That's what I'm saying, back years. Yeah.
He didn't let anything Obama wanted to be passed.
And
he's already said he's going to do the same thing with Biden. But now that he's lost, and we're not going to have him as majority speaker anymore.
Well, so we're going to have...
And the Republicans, Paul McConnell and the Republicans met. They had a lunch on Inauguration Day in 2009. And they agreed at that luncheon that they would never pass anything that Obama wanted.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's on the record.
Yeah.
So
and he said it already about Biden. He's at the election.
Well, anyway, I think Fox News should be sued just like anybody else.
NBC and
to be putting out wrong things to the people, and these people believed it, and it wasn't the truth. And it's just like the lawyer who was with Trump. Dominion is suing her now for saying that the machines were made in Venezuela and that they could change them any way they wanted to for the votes. Well, Dominion is really suing her. I think her name is Shirley, what was it? Powell. Sidney Powell. And they're suing her right now. So we're going to see a whole lot of, it's not going to be easy. This is going to be a rough time for us, I think, really.
Biden's going to have a hell of a job.
He does. And he needs all the help he can get. And he is trying. He invited Pence to come to his inauguration, which I thought was a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
To try to bridge the sides together, because people were going to kill Pence.
I think
they wanted to kill him.
From what I've seen of Biden, I think he's what I see of him doing, I think he's doing a really good job of trying to calm people down.
Yes.
And you know, get people back together again and so forth. You know, he's not doing the typical finger pointing and that kind of stuff. I've seen a little bit of that from him, but not very much. Mostly it's been conciliatory language that I've heard from him, and I'm very impressed with him because of that.
Yes, well,
he's going to have a hard time getting that through when millions of people believe that he's a pedophile.
Right.
Well, I don't know that I would say millions of people believe he's a pedophile.
They do. QAnon has
absolutely they do.
Has a huge hold over people, millions of people in this country now. It really does. That's one of the things that we really have to, you know, that's a question that we really have to wrestle with is freedom of speech, yes, but, you know, we decided that we did want to make a law against pedophiles actually being able to have a platform on the internet. And so this is one of the places we really have to look at to see what that means for, you know, this country is so strong about freedom of speech and being able to have your own say and so forth. But in this day and age with the internet, and we're still so new with this, you know, really, this is something that we really have to grapple with. And of course, after Wednesday, all of the platforms, you know, Twitter and Facebook and everything decided, well, now was the time to shut Trump down. But the horses were all out of the barn, actually, as far as people having platforms on the internet. But the real question is why are so many people, why are they so susceptible to buying into these things and so emotionally inclined to do so? And this is where I think a lot of what something Paul is saying needs to be taken into consideration is why people and how so many people feel so disaffected to begin with. So anyway, there's a couple of things that we need to think about there.
We need to
They're still pushing Benghazi. They've done far more than that. They're still pushing that Hillary was in the basement of that pizza place in Washington, D.C. with trafficking kids, and the basement, there isn't even a basement in that building, and that's been known for years. But they're still pushing it, still talking about her emails.
Bob, what did you have to say?
I was just going to say, you know, you were talking about Fox News, MSNBC, and everyone else had labeled certain things conspiracy theories, and therefore anything that's conspiracy theories is a lie. And both Fox News and MSNBC pretty much follow that line. And I don't know whether you believe that 9/11 was caused by 19 terrorists or not, but I tell you truly, the 19 terrorists were minor players.
Yeah.
We are not over the election. I mean, we expect, you know, anybody with any watching what's going on will tell you that Biden's going to take the presidency on the 20th. I will believe it when his hand comes off the Bible, because we are in for some major news that will be upsetting not only to this country but worldwide.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think this isn't over. It's some major things are coming, bigger than the Republicans, bigger than the Democrats. And it will, if we can live through it, help unite us, because we're in a divine plan to bring us together. And it takes a divine plan as badly as we're split to bring us together.
So
And we're playing right into Putin's hands. This is what he's wanted to do for years, destroy our democracy.
Nene, have you was looking like you had your hand up or something?
Me?
Yeah, would you?
Yeah, yes, I'd like to say that one thing I've been thinking about for several days now is how much words matter.
Yeah.
Every word that's spoken, how much words matter. Because of the words that were spoken from the top, we have 5 people dead from Wednesday that did not need to die. Words, words are of the utmost importance. And I'm just going to really take that to heart and watch my own words. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to say what I believe is right. If somebody says Biden's a pedophile, I will say, I don't believe that. Where is your proof? If, for instance, Paul is my neighbor, if someone came to me with a terrible, outlandish claim about Paul, I would stand up for him. I would stand up for what I believe, but I'm going to watch my words as I do that.
Good for you. Yes, that's very, very important.
And
we also have.
Go ahead, Lynn.
We also have 340-some thousand people dead because they believed him that it was a hoax.
Oh,
I'm not saying the virus is not real, but most of those people didn't need to die yet.
Yeah.
Well, no, but part of that was lack of leadership from the top as well. So.
That's what I mean. He said, this is just going to go away. And those same people that believe he won the election believed him.
Yeah. He was being more positive.
You know, from my point of view, it's not just, you know, what one particular person said, but I've seen so much conflicting information, even from the so-called medical authorities, and you know, they say one thing and then a few weeks later they say something else. It's never this is what I believe, but rather this is what it is, and then a few weeks later they change that, and they have also totally neglected evidence that's been in front of everybody since almost day one. You know, I've been preaching that the primary way that COVID is conveyed is through aerosols, not the big drops like when you sneeze or cough. Yes, those could be the way it could be transmitted, but just through when you exhale or when you speak or when you sing or something like that, you put out aerosols. Those are difficult to filter out. And you have, you know, if you understand that, then you can, unfortunately, the social distancing, and I don't mean 6 feet, I mean, you know, staying really apart is really about the only solution to that in the short term. But things like saying, well, you can't go to the beach, as long as people are separated on the beach, there's a lot of UVC on the beach. There's good air circulation on the beach. There's no reason to start shutting stuff like that down. So there's just been so much contradictory information and edicts coming down and so forth on that I really don't think you can blame it on any one person. Yeah, I mean, if you don't like Trump, then you can blame it on him, and he doesn't care. But
he didn't do what he should have done in February when he found out about this thing. He didn't declare. We could have had enough PPEs for everybody in the world if they had forced that to be done then, and they didn't, and they still aren't.
Yeah, well.
Anyway,
you know,
I'm done.
In terms of the, you know, we've brought Fox News up from my point of view, the pretty much all of the news outlets are either, actually about 2/3 of them, more or less, are hard spin left, and about 1/3 of them are hard spin right. There's no real reporting anymore. It's all propaganda from one side or the other side. It's not really news, it's propaganda. And so
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
the upshot.
I think that's a really broad brush, and I disagree with that. So just to let you know, we don't all agree with what you're saying right now.
The point in what I'm saying is that you have to take what you hear from news outlets and kind of balance it with, you have to take it with the, okay, is this reality, or is this or is this something that has a good deal of spin put on it? And pretty much everything that I see evidence of it's being put out not because it's what's happening, but because it supports a narrative. And it's the same on both sides. The left spinning media or the right spinning media, it's the same thing. It's just that they have their own spin on it. They're doing it to support their own narrative, and you have to take that into consideration so that you can, kind of read between the lines to figure out what's really happening.
Yeah, Bob, you wanted to say something?
I did. I think there's some serious science that supports increasing the levels of vitamin D3 and zinc in your body, and it's extremely effective in reducing the number of deaths, reducing the severity, and reducing getting the virus itself. And it's extremely effective. And the mainstream media, from Fox News to MSNBC, kind of says, it's not worth it, or just silent about it.
Yeah.
And it's a very effective preventive.
Yeah.
Bob, I have heard some doctors on TV actually say that it looks like that's being
I have too.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem there is that I think there was a study done where they took COVID patients who were already pretty seriously affected and tried giving them vitamin D, and they take people that are really sick and they try giving them vitamin D, expecting that that's going to make them better. The problem is that the horse has done left the barn at that point.
Yes.
Can I interrupt you there?
Yeah.
That experiment was done with people that had it. They gave them one dose of 200,000 units.
Ooh.
Oh.
I mean, one time, and that was in Brazil. And mainstream media has shared that information.
Yeah.
That's not the way you increase your vitamin D.
Agreed.
If you're low, you take 20 a day, or not 200, but you take it every day for a week or something, and then get down to maybe 4,000 or 5,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I watch Rachel Maddow at 9 o'clock on
Hey.
and I'll tell you, she's the only one who started about the retirement homes and how those people were dying.
Yeah.
And she's the only one that really said anything about that. And she started it going. And she always has anything she tells you, she has something to back it up. She can bring it up from the news. She can bring it up from a book. I really believe in the way she does the news. I don't know if anybody else watches her, but I really do respect her in that thing.
What is she on?
I think she's great.
MSNBC. She has a great team of researchers.
Yes, she
and
does.
The way she tells, she makes it the way she tells the stories is really great. Paul, I'm going to give you one thing on the MSNBC and CNN. in response to the events on Wednesday. There's a lot of reaction that the Capitol Police let this happen, and that the reaction was much different than it would have been if this had been a Black Lives Matter protest.
Absolutely.
And that they just let them get away with it. And I think that that's a bit of an erroneous narrative, because if you ask the Capitol Police, after I've seen many videos now, and they were all in great danger. They were overwhelmed. You know, they didn't get what they needed from the top, and they weren't even in riot gear. And the people that stormed that, most of them came intending to do that. And there were tens of thousands of people there. Yeah. And so that's where the questions really need to be asked. Those, and the videos that I've seen, most of the videos I've seen, they were trying to kind of fight valiantly until they realized that their own lives were in terrible danger. Even then, they tried to keep them out of the Capitol and so forth. So I think that's unfair to jump to the conclusion that you know, like insinuating that the Capitol Police were all kind of racist. And I've seen that happening on MSNBC, that people are wanting to kind of go there, and I think that's erroneous. There's
been some reports of like the Capitol Police taking pictures with terrorists. You know,
they did.
They did. The challenge there is, I really think that now it's possible that there was some collusion there. I'm not saying that's not true. But I'm also saying that as a police officer, when you have people that are inflamed, you're going to do a lot better job of reaching out to them and you know, trying to work with them than you are trying to hit them over the head with a baton. You know, well,
especially when you've got one baton and they've got 20.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or a gun. You get a lot more done. You know, this what I was saying a minute ago. When you shut people down, you radicalize them. When you allow dialogue, when you encourage dialogue, you get a lot more accomplished. I have a book. I've forgotten what the name of it is, but it's Verbal Judo, which was written by a policeman that basically learned how to negotiate himself out of really difficult and dangerous situations. And you know, as I say, it's possible that there were some of the Capitol Police that were, you know, that were of like mind to the protesters. I don't know.
Oh, sure. Of course, there are going to be sympathizers.
You know, there's going to be some.
But overall, I don't think
I think it's more likely that, you know, put yourself in the shoes of the policeman, and you got this, you know, here you are with a few of your comrades and, you know, a few of your fellow policemen, and you got these thousands of people carrying, you know, the guy with the furs and the horns, and that stick that he was carrying was a spear.
Yeah.
You know, it had a sharp metal point on it. That thing was lethal. You know, how would you like to be going at him with your little billy club, and he's got this 6-foot-long spear there?
Oh, right, and all the flagpoles.
It's, you know, it's a lot better to try to talk yourself, you know, to try to negotiate at that point than it is to try to force things on them. So, yeah, I think, as you say, Jane, that's the challenge, is that a lot of this stuff, you know, gets, some of it can be very, you know, what you hear can be very truthful. The problem is, it's what I call the half truth, where you only tell the part of the truth that fits your narrative. And the other part of it is what then you don't hear, but the part that you hear is what tends to radicalize you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what was, those people were radicalized. There was no talking to those people.
Yeah.
You had to either get out of the way or try to help keep people out of the Capitol. You were trying to do something, the poor police were, but they were just overwhelmed.
But all of those
But they didn't plan on that thing at all. There was no coordination. The first riot in Charlottesville I was at, and there were cops everywhere, shoulder to shoulder along all the streets. The second one where Heather was killed, there wasn't a cop in sight, and that's what happened in D.C. When the Black Lives Movement was coming, they had cops everywhere, all on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and all the other buildings. There were not that many cops, and the ones who tried to get other people there could not get the approval to do it, like the governor of Maryland and the governor of Virginia, who had troops ready to cross the border. But because D.C. is federal, they have to get the guy in the Pentagon to say it's okay. And the guy in the Pentagon wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So that obviously was something to start with. There should have been hundreds of thousands of people there already.
That's at the top, Lynn. And what I was talking about was that the reaction was to blame the Capitol Police.
Oh, I
that were
understand.
there.
Right.
Well,
but there were police giving directions, because there was a Democrat congressman on who has a second office in the middle of nowhere in a hidden place on the third floor. And they got to his office and ransacked it. They had to have directions to get to that room.
Well, they were going through the whole building.
Yeah.
No, this is a place that's so remote that even the people that, in fact, the newsman that was interviewing him said, I've tried to get to that office and it's impossible to find it. But the rioters found it and destroyed it.
Yeah, there may have been some inside help on that.
Absolutely.
And
watch the cop
fact
a woman down the steps.
The fact that the defense secretary wouldn't answer his phone when they wanted to get the National Guard in there is quite interesting.
Well, as this whole big message today, we have to be the change that we want to see in the way we think, in the way we talk, the way we can diffuse things, as Paul was saying. We can diffuse something instead of making it bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
There's a guy, I can't remember his last name right now. His first name's Christian, who was he was raised in a white supremacist organization. I mean, his father was, so he was literally raised as a child in a white supremacist organization. And somehow or another, he came to see the light. And that guy spends all his time now working to turn the most radical white nationalists and white supremacists around, and it would be good to learn what he does and how he does it. So he listens to them, but then
He's very interesting.
He understands where they're coming from to begin with. So
yeah. Well, as I say, that you're not going to unradicalize someone by isolating them and by pointing a finger at them and things like that. You as the speaker in one of our earlier messages talked about, you have to get closer to them. You have to go to them, and you have to stop accusing them. You have to stop shutting them down. You have to listen to them. And when you do that, when you embrace them, not to agree with them, I'm not saying you agree with them, but you get closer to them. You try to understand them rather than shutting them down. Right. That's how you come together. When you start seeing people as we are all one, because we are all one. We have differences. we have to embrace our diversity. You know, when I was growing up, I was taught that America was the melting pot of
It's
cultures and
boiled
so
over.
forth. And you know, I was taught to glorify our differences as, you know, embrace the diversity. And somehow we've gotten away from that we've started, you know, it's always us against them. There isn't an us and a them. It's all us.
But a lot of it started when the them became more population in a lot of the places than the us. And they feared for their life that the browns and the blacks were going to take over because they're the minority in most places, but there's a majority of brown and black in other places that now want their voices heard. And that's disturbed. I have neighbors right here who they still speak like 1930s about the black people.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
It all
as
goes
Jesus
back
said,
to
the
your
poor will
family.
always be with you.
Yeah. Your
Well-
thoughts and your actions and the way you think.
Right.
Your actions are the biggest thing. But I want to kind of pull this
Shut
back.
us up.
Because we could do this for a long time. And I asked
I've got to go anyways.
I ask you all to keep peace. I mean, know the peace in your heart for this inauguration. See peaceful day. See Biden getting, you know, sworn in easily, peacefully, and we have to keep that in our hearts and in our minds so it
That
comes
vision,
out.
yes, you have to put it
Because-
out there.
Every day.
Right, and peace in the world, but especially
And we need to, and the challenge is to keep that balance even in the face of appearances that we see.
right.
I have a feeling we have not seen the end of the reaction, the kind of reaction
they'll be
that
back.
there was, you know, at the Capitol. Those people are still out there. They still believe that the election was stolen from Trump. And then when he came out and said, well, you all were bad people, you shouldn't have been doing that, now they feel betrayed by Trump. And so where do they go now?
Yeah.
So anyway, don't be surprised.
They've all said they're coming back on the 20th.
Well,
But
let's
and the
know that's
17th,
not going to happen.
the 17th,
Right.
you know, so anyway, but we hold to our vision.
Yeah.
Right.
We hold to our vision no matter what, you know, in the face of all appearances and whatever. And so it's in that way that what Paul is talking about, where we can come in, we hold to our vision of coming together as
Right.
one people and understanding that we're all in a human race here on this beautiful little blue dot in the middle of the universe, you know.
And if we lose that because we're human, we can call each other. You could call me. We have to get back to our center. So it's, you know, whenever you change your thinking, change your mind, change your life. So that's important that we lean on each other to stay in that peacefulness and know it for the world.
And we can,
I was at the rally
on
yesterday.
our website. We can go back and look on our website and see these wonderful treatments that Kathy has
Put out there.
created for us each week. They're very powerful visions to hold on to.
Yeah, thank you.
I have most of them up from the last year.
Oh, nice.
On that the programs page, I have the link to the Google Slides, which should be available to everybody. If you can't get to it, let me know, and I'll either help you or fix whatever the permissions problem is.
Okay.
We have
Well, that's good.
we have all
There's
the
one other thing
programs.
I learned yesterday at the rally. If he gets impeached for the second time, he loses his pension. He doesn't get the $1 million fund that they give to all ex-presidents, and he doesn't have Secret Service protection except a very skeletal crew. And I think if more people knew that, they would be more for this second impeachment thing.
And he
Because
can't.
he's already
he
ripped
can't
us
go
off for
on
millions,
the
and if he gets all that stuff in addition, that's more millions gone.
Yeah, but he.
So
he
I'm
also
just
he can't be reelected to anything.
no, and he can't ever be reelected because he still wants to run
He
24.
wouldn't be reelected for the
have
same
Ivanka do
reason
it.
that he lost this election.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
he had a lot of people who were supporting him who he has alienated over the last 4 years, and that's why he lost the election.
Right.
We're hoping.
Okay,
But in addition, it can be done after Biden is in office. They can still condemn him and impeach him.
That's right. All right, so some good news. This Wednesday, headquarters is meeting, and we should have our affiliation this Wednesday. Also,
oh, good.
Also, next Sunday, Michelle Lobb, who taught the 4 agreements, she's going to be our speaker. And she's really excited about it. She's been taking classes on the Course of Miracles, but now she's intertwining everything. She's very, very excited about talking to us next week. So try to...
Kathy, where is she in the process of becoming a CSL minister?
She is not going to be a official CSL minister. She might. I don't even know if it's Robin's organization that she's into. It's a world ministry something. So she's going to be a minister from there. She just started it this year. So I think it's like 2 years or something.
Okay,
like that.
so she's
you can
not
ask
there
her.
yet.
She's, you can ask her that, but she's not going to be an official minister. There's too
Well,
many.
she can have more program about that.
Yeah, there's too many hoops and stuff to go through. Too much money. It's all a lot of money. That's why I'm trying to find classes that are love offerings, or I'm trying to work on Reverend Robin and seeing if we can get more courses done. The other thing, I think everybody knows by now, we're some of us are taking the Beyond Limits course at Mile High on the 19th of January. And after that, I will find you a better time zone to take the next class. I wanted to thank everybody for their donations and the checks sending to my house and through PayPal. And I just want to do a donation prayer. And what I know is God is the source of all supply, and money is God in action. And we give, we set spiritual law in motion. And right here, we are clear. We give out of our fullness, we give out of our abundance, and we give out of our overflowing blessings. And we give to our Center for Spiritual Living in Charlottesville. And we know we touch the minds and hearts of all that come, and our group expands in numbers and consciousness. And our lives just keep getting better and better. And we live from this state of gratitude. So we're all going to keep peace in our hearts, in our minds with this whole situation. And we are going to be the light. We're going to be the light spreaders of this. So
thank you.
Okay. We want to do our blessed always.
All righty. You want to put the words up, Paul? And mute everybody but me.
Move it back to what?
To the screen. We were on discussion screen, weren't we?
Well, I shared the screen.
Okay.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. That we rest in God and say amen.
Thank you, Kathy. See you again.
Wait. Let me say a closing prayer here.
Okay.
And as we enter 2021, each one of us knows we are called into a new level of knowing and a new level of engaging. And it is ours to do right here and right now. And we are super spreaders of the light, and we're open at the top, open to receive guidance. And we're guarded and anchored in truth and principle, raising humanity to its spiritual magnificence. I love that, the spiritual magnificence. And we die to our old comfortable thoughts and responses, and we move to a new timeless wisdom of our principles, not precedent. And we work together to manifest our vision of a world working for everyone. So we go in peace, we go in health, and we go remembering we are God in form. Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Super light spreaders.
Super light spreaders. I love it. I love it.
Tom, get off that couch.